shoes on my feet and the heart in my chest, Lord. Just keep me beating for a couple of days so I can get this paycheck, keep these damn bills paid. They try to say we got it made, Lord.
What's up, guys? My name's Clay. I'm local rep here in Mississippi for Monty's Plant Food. Today I'm in Lambert, Mississippi at Coldwater Planting Company, which some of you might follow along with Mississippi Farmer here on YouTube. He's actually the guy that farms all of this. But I just kind of wanted to use this platform to go a little bit more in depth on what we're doing here with Monty's, as well as just talk about things that I do on a day-to-day basis, show some drone video, things like that for things that I do on my daily trips and travels. So today they're actually finishing up planting soybeans on some newly land leveled ground. I'm just kind of riding around checking all these trial plots and looking to see what the state of things are. Here in a little bit I'm actually going to get out and try to talk with Hendrick and get him to talk just a little bit about this farm and what exactly they're all doing here, so that y'all can kind of listen and get a little bit more in depth with what his job is and what he does. But y'all stay tuned and kind of hang out and see what we do here. Alright, so this here is our liquid carbon and AgriSweet trial, both products of Monty's Plant Food. Right over here you can kind of see a change in color between what we're standing next to and what's ahead of us. That's our check strip, which is what I'm standing next to here, and then where it gets a little bit taller and you see that darker green color, that's with the liquid carbon and the AgriSweet. I'll throw some pictures up here in a second that kind of show you a height difference in the two, as well as I'll throw an aerial photo up so that you can see the change in color a little bit better, and I'll draw a line down the middle, or I'll stand in this end row here so that you can kind of see where the split is. In this field we've got two different varieties of corn. We've got decab on this end, and then we've got Dynagrow on the other with a check strip in both. Total of 120 acres here of corn with the AgriSweet and the liquid carbon, and then back where they're planting beans today there's going to be another 40 acres in there. All of this was done in furrow, and then they came back and side dressed this last week with another product, K28, which is a 0028, another gallon of liquid carbon, another gallon of AgriSweet. We're here today with Hendrick Corn, also known as Mississippi Farmer on YouTube. He's allowed me to come on the farm this year and do a lot of trial work with Monty's, which is my primary job. Just wanted to talk with him today and ask a couple questions about his farm and what all he does here, what crops they grow, things like that. So, Hendrick, what are your main crops on this farm? How many acres are you growing of each?
Okay, so we are a total of around 3,500 acres. And we do about 1,500 cotton, that will be our main crop, and then we usually do around 1,000 acres of corn, and more or less 1,000, usually 800 to 1,000 acres of soybeans. It all depends on what prices looks like, but yeah, cotton will always be the main crop for us, since we have to farm a certain amount of acres to make a cotton picker pay for itself.
So with corn, cotton, and soybeans, typically what order would everything get planted in?
So we'll start with corn, we'll get that done, and then we'll go on to soybeans. If we can plant all the soybeans, we'll plant all the soybeans and then swap over to cotton. But there's been some years where the soybean fields will be too wet and we'll plant 200 or 300 acres of soybeans, and then we'll have to swap to cotton, and then we'll usually plant all the cotton and come back to soybeans. And then we try to follow a rotation of wherever corn was planted, we'll follow it up with cotton, and where cotton was planted, we'll follow it up with soybeans, and we'll just do a third of each farm every year. And yeah, that's kind of the rotation we try to follow.
Okay. So today we're working on well irrigation, laying poly pipe. What is the reason for y'all using poly pipe versus, say, center pivot or non-irrigated, things like that?
So what I've been told is that laying poly pipe and watering down the rows is way more efficient than center pivot. And poly pipe in the delta is probably the most common thing you will see around here. And it's just all the fields where you lay poly pipe, it's precision land formed. So it has a 1/10 of a grade most of the times. And so it goes, we lay the pipe on the high side of the field and it will water down the rows going to the bottom side of the field. We do have 5 pivots that we use, and yeah, I guess but those fields is not landformed, they're just all natural, have some rolling hills in it, and it'll probably cost way too much to landform it, so that's why we'll probably just keep on using the pivots on those 5 fields.
Do you ever see a difference in, say, yield, germination quality, things like that, between your center pivot irrigated and your groundwater irrigated?
Well, no, I would say not really, because we row up everything. So even our pivots, most of our pivots is rowed up. So, and obviously we rowed up our landform fields. But what we did see is everything that we plant on a bed does emerge faster and does have a better stand than the stuff that we plant flat. So on most of my pivots, I would row it up and then I would come back with a cultivator and I would band around the edges to smooth it out for the sprayers. And then when we start planting, we'll band those same bands with a planter. And the stuff on the beds does emerge about a day earlier than the stuff planted flat.
So as far as nutritionals, pesticides, things like that, I know you're doing some foliar spraying. I know you're doing a little bit of side dressing.
Yeah.
What is your typical, let's say, grower standard application process through the year on, let's just say, corn? So you start, you plant everything, then you're going to come back, and what are you doing as far as a pass across the field, as far as getting your nutritionals and things like that out?
So usually we will run, since we have our own dry fertilizer spreader, we used to run everything dry, and this year we swapped over to some liquid to see if we can see a difference in yield. So what we'll start with corn, we'll go out and put P and K out if we don't get it out in the fall. And if we do it out in the spring, we'll put about 10 units of nitrogen in with the P and K, so it'll be a blend. And we'll go out and put that out on our corn fields, and about so 3 or 4 weeks before we start planting, and then we'll put that out, and then we'll plant the corn. So we don't plant with any startup fertilizer. And when the corn is about 8 inches tall, this year we did 150 pounds of nitrogen, and then on the corn this year we came about 2 weeks after that, we came back with some liquid. We ran 32% at 40 gallons per acre. And that's basically it. And then before tassel come in with the airplane, with the last shot of nitrogen out. And that might be like 60 or 100 pounds of nitrogen. pounds per acre that we'll put out just before the corn start tasseling. That'll be our last shoot.
Okay, good deal.
I like to try new stuff. Every year I have something different I'm trying, whether it be different population, different planting depth, whatever I can think of, I'll put a pass in or two, and just I like trying stuff and see what all we get out of it, and it'll tell the story. So when the combine goes through the field, that's what's going to tell the story, and see if it all was worth it. But yeah, we are hoping for the best.
Well, good deal, Hendrik. Thanks again for letting us come out here and talk with you today and do all this trial work on your farm. Y'all be sure to give him a follow on YouTube. It's Mississippi Farmer. Y'all see a lot of my work as well as what he does on a day-to-day basis on there. So be sure to drop him a follow and like and subscribe. We'll see y'all later. All right, out here today getting ready to start laying poly pipe on the end rows of this corn. So what they're doing right now is they're taking a cultivator and they're cultivating these end rows just to give us something kind of soft. And then they'll come back, and if we walk right over here, you can see they're taking a roller and they're rolling the centers after they cultivate. So they'll roll it down, get it nice and firm after the cultivators run through and kind of chopped everything up, got some loose dirt, and then they'll take this loose stuff on the sides and we'll take a shovel and we'll throw just pats of dirt over on it every couple feet or so, just to make sure everything stays in place when it's not full of water. So we're out here laying our rolls of poly pipe this morning. So what they're doing is way down here on this end, they've already tied it into the well, so that when they're ready to water, all they have to do is cut that well on and this poly pipe will fill up. So once that poly pipe fills up, they'll come through and they'll take a stake or something, they'll punch holes in it, kind of in between these rows here, so that as the water flows through the pipe, it'll run down between the rows and water the crop. So you can see up here, we've got this implement here. It's got the rolls of poly pipe on it, and then it's got a V-shaped coulter on it that is digging this trench. And as it digs this trench, the poly pipe lays down inside it, and every once in a while they'll take a shovel and they'll throw a pat of dirt over in it, kind of as you see here, just to hold it in place until it fills up with water. So we finished putting out all our poly pipe, as you can see. So across the way over here, there's an electrical breaker that runs the pump. Occasionally that pump will run a couple of different valves. Like in this instance, there's 2 in that field, and then there's 1 on either side of this gravel road here. So what they'll do is they'll come over and they'll open this swivel gate. That'll allow water to pass through into the pipe. And then as the water passes through, they're letting it trickle through right now. They're not running it full bore. But what they're doing is they're coming down through here, and they've got these pre-measured little gauges that are different sizes and diameters, so like 9/16, 3/4, things like that. And they have a prescription written out based on water flow, grade of the land, elevation, things like that, that allow them to punch holes in this in certain spots. So it may be once every other row, it may be once every 3 or 4 rows, depending on water flow, on how they monitor their water flow. So they'll come through and they'll punch holes as prescribed per this chart that they have. And that's how they get the water out of the pipe, of course, through the well onto the crop. Last task of the day is going to be field signs. We're going to throw a couple field signs up here along the highway in a couple of these fields where we've done all this trial work. Hopefully it'll get Monty some brand recognition here in the Southeast, especially since we're new in the territory and we're kind of trying to develop the brand. So we'll get these put out, and then we're heading home for the day. Field signs are done. We are going to wrap up here for the day and head back to the house. Huge thanks to Hendrick for letting us come out here and shoot all this video and do everything with Monty's that we're doing. If you have any questions about Monty's products, my email and our website are linked in the description in my bio. Y'all check that out and give me a shout if you have any questions or need some information about what we're doing. I apologize for anything that's weird or wonky with this video. This is, of course, my first video. Y'all stay tuned, though, and we'll kind of keep track with everything that's going on here, as well as the rest of my territory around the Southeast and what's going on in the different farm subsectors of the southeastern U.S. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all later.